Good afternoon, everyone. We're here for the constitutional amendment for equal opportunities. My name is Bilkisu Abubakar. I'm a lecturer, and I'm also a team lead at a tech-driven logistics startups here in Abuja. So I will introduce to us today our panelists. We have Indi Kato, Executive Director for the Dinidari Foundation. We have Madam Ebere Ifendu, National President for Women in Politics, Executive Director of Imperial Finance Securities Limited, and also a Director, Gender Education and Rights Department of Gregory University. And finally, we have Senator Abaribe. He is a politician and Senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, representing Abia South, currently a minority leader. So you're welcome. I'll start with you, Indi. Is that okay? Okay. Currently, the Nigerian women make up less than 5% of offices nationwide, right? We only have 7 women in the Senate. We only have 11 in the reps. That's all we have currently. So what factors do you think are keeping Nigerian women from being actively involved in leadership and holding offices that affects and greatly determine the standard of their living and everyone else's living right now and in the future?
Well, I'll point to, socialization. That's a big one. You will still go to schools and ask girls what they want to be in future. And maybe if you mention politics, they'll say governor's wife. Because that is the biggest thing. Like, it's not, you're not raised to see yourself as the governor himself or herself. See, I even still have it. So socialization, you're raised, and if not for women now that we're seeing them outside so much, of course the likes of Barrister Ebere Ifendu, Okonjo-Iweala, we're seeing a lot of women role models. But growing up, it wasn't that much for me. And not that these women were not there. There's a concerted effort for us now to see women who are doing things. Me, when I was growing up, it was Cinderella. She misplaced her shoe. A prince found it for her. He saved her. So you constantly wait for these things. Everywhere you're going, you're socialized against that. And then as you grow, again, a lot of times you see young women, the way our careers are pursued are like, do it with moderation, you would end up in your husband's house. So there's no push for ambition. Like we see now, there's actually a huge change now. So for the future, it's much better. That ambition is not there. Then when you now go into politics, I remember where I come from. I keep giving this story of how, stood on the line for, the crisis where I come from. And one time our elders, I brought things for IDPs, did everything. And one time an elder called me and he said, Ndi, you've done so well. If you were a man, we would have said we have found a leader for our people. But you're a woman, and these Yoruba people will come and marry you and take you away. I was wondering, of course, why specifically Yoruba? I'm from Southern Kaduna. But the other thing is, why do you think that? Why do you think that wherever I get married from, I now belong there? Why isn't that made into consideration for men? So no matter what you do, you're not considered. I've seen angles from the Southeast where a woman was winning elections. Then they took it to to a masquerade house to go and rig it. And she's not allowed in the masquerade house. Places in Kano State where a woman decided to run for councillor, her children brought her and sat her. Of course, the village had protested and everything and told her that if you run, we will disown you as our own mother. And so a lot of these things, let's not forget violence. That's a key against women in politics, that when you mention, women don't even want to hear it. I remember in fact, this Edo State election that just finished is the sanest one I have seen so far. Like, that was a miracle. Because I remember in Edo State election that women were gathered, one woman candidate, they just started shooting. That was the end. Like, women didn't want to hear after that point. So a lot of these things come together. We do not also have equal access, and this is very important. Equal access, economic access, financial access. Men have this network. He has network from Old Boys Association, from people who did NANS, from SUG, to people who got commissioner. They have their women don't have it.
So networking comes from accessibility.
Yes, and women don't have that access. Like, I looked back and most of the people have done all of this Aluta thing. We don't have that opportunity. So it's something that we really need to consider. And yeah, that is it.
Thank you for that, Barrister. We'll come on to you. So the Gender and Opportunity Bill is being resurrected by the amiable Senator Biodun, right? And what lessons have been there from the previous attempt at getting this bill passed? What lessons do you think have been there?
Well, very interesting. I mean, it's good that you stated clearly that we've made a series of attempts to get the bill passed. I will take it from my angle, and I think the distinguished senator will be in a better position to tell us what happened at the Senate and why we are still where we are today. Okay, so from my angle, you know, Senator Lujimi did a wonderful thing, bringing up the first time it came out, you know, our support, we worked hard, we reached out to our senators, we reached out to friends and colleagues around to see that we'll get the bill passed. But I discovered along the line that there were certain sections of the bill that a section of the country, you know, didn't really like. And they told us we were delving into religion and we were delving into cultural issues. And they were not comfortable with those sections. And we were asked to look at the bill again. But this House of Representatives actually passed it. But you know, legislature, they put the Senate and the House will have to, you know, agree. So I think this time it's necessary for us to go back, look at the bill again. For me, I was thinking that we'll focus more on the political aspects of it. I mean, I believe strongly that if we're able to get 35% affirmative action, that will help us to have more women in parliament. I mean, to be easier for us to get the bill passed. And again, is the society not really understanding why women should be agitating for, you know, equal opportunities, you know. And it's something, like Ndi mentioned, part of it, socialization. It's something we'll have to, you know, start discussing with the religious leaders, because most times, you know, they come up with an excuse. But the Bible and the Quran, you know, they've never, nowhere will you find in the Quran stated that women should not be given an opportunity to govern. And I always argue with some people and I say, look, even in the Quran, we have sections where they talked about the Holy Prophet, you know, giving women opportunity, referring most times to his wife for advice and the rest, you know. So that's kind of leadership. In the Bible, women did exploits. You know, so I don't know why it's something, but I think it's just for convenience sake. It's just the truth is that they understand it. The men do understand. Because if you look at it, they train their children, irrespective of religion, to the greatest level of where the child will want to, you know, get to. Even when we talk about child marriage, it's never, you know, it's a problem for the rich. It's usually for the poor people. So I think this time we'll do our homework well. We'll have he for she's supporting us. The distinguished senator is here. Honorable TJ is also part of the men that will take decisions on this. And I think we are starting well now to, you know, reach out to them. So this advocacy that the Minister of Women Affairs is leading is a very good one. And I think we are starting at the right time.
It is. Yeah. Thank you so much. But if I may bring you back a bit, do you think the religious and cultural aspect they are trying to not push in will play a bigger part in making the bill move forward? Do you think if you would insist, not insist, but if those aspects would not be removed, do you think that would create an opportunity for this bill to be passed forward?
Yes, I think we're even doing well, even with the religion and cultural aspects still there. If you look at the gender-based violence, you know, that took place most especially during the COVID period, you know, that led the governors to start something they called an emergency. And in some states who ordinarily wouldn't have listened to the Child Rights Act, to the gender-based violence bill, some of them have actually passed it. So, and I'm seeing it now as an opportunity, because even when that is not expunged, I'm seeing it as this Ninth Assembly will pass the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. The men are more sensitized now. I think part of what we didn't get right was sensitization. Like what we are doing now, advocacy and sensitization. You know, for me, I think it's a kind of negotiation with the men. Let them understand it's not like, oh, we want this done and it has to be done our way. But let them know that they're also part of it. They are part of the country and the system.
All right, thank you very much. Now on to you, Senator. So you were in the Senate during the last attempt. Can you contribute to Can you contribute to what factors that affected the last attempt, and factors from within the National Assembly and also within the bill itself? What factors affected it?
I think basically what you're trying to let me do now is to criticize what happened in the last attempt. Well, once it's done, it's done. But essentially, the non-passage of that bill had already been highlighted by both women on either side of me. They basically two things: culture and religion. And I remember, because I was part of the sponsors of the bill, that I had to reach out to the women and said, we need to talk to more of the senators, especially the female senators. Yeah, you wouldn't, it was surprising that some of these female senators did not support the bill.
So would you say this brings us back to the socialization that she was talking about?
I don't know why, but the point really is this. You need to be able to overcome a particular mindset. And it is that mindset that, tends to let a lot of people feel that if they go in a certain way, it may hurt them politically. For each person that you see who is sitting down there on the seat of a senator or a member of House of Rep, there are 5 to 10 other people also saying that they are going to run against him. And what they do is that at every point you do anything, they will go back home and tell them, see, this man, he has already left what the prophet says, and he's now following all these kafiris. And the people will just get so scared. And so we had issues. In fact, it wasn't just in the last one. There were even issues that happened before then. I remember at a particular point that we were trying to amend the Constitution, all that one senator did was to get up and said, this was against the... And everybody had to pull back. So we have to do far more sensitization. We have to explain to people that this does not in any way, just like Ebere said here just now, it does not affect your religious ideals in any way, where if you empower women. And of course, I also agree with her that the COVID period has also helped us to be able to see that we really need everybody in society working together. That is really there. But they already have as a sponsor within the within the chamber, and I will continue to do my best because, well, I come from a family that my elder sister was the very first person in my village to go to school. Because at that time, they wouldn't want women to go to school. They would tell them to sit down, you're going to get married. So, so for her to go to secondary school, it was like, how are you sending your child to secondary school? And of course, eventually she became a permanent secretary and all that. So, and benefited the village. So that is the problem that most people don't see when they start to suppress women. I had attended a conference for women, and I met some people. I think they were from Angola, and they said that the Constitution sets aside a certain number. And so I came back and I said, okay, let's see whether we can use it here. And then we ran into a problem in the Constitution too. Our Constitution says that you cannot discriminate on the basis of any gender, religion, and all that. And so if you say you're setting aside certain things, that means you're telling another. So you could see the dilemma that we have.
All right, then thank you very much.